Hey, this will be a video chart on WOLV. I don't think I've ever done this one before, but had quite a few people bring it to my attention today. Both kind of questions with what's going on chart-wise, and then looking at it, it's a pretty interesting play from a kind of risk versus reward standpoint. Today, obviously, was pretty rough. Big red candle on the biggest volume it's seen in quite a few months. But with that, it's sitting right around some pretty important support areas. So for the people out there that like to do some bottom fishing and stuff like that, potential bounce play maybe sometime this week. Of course, we'll need to see some sort of confirmation, and I'll get there a little bit later in the video. But let's just first map out the first key area of support that the price dealt with today, and that was a high back from early May, where the price then came down here and retested it. So you can see here it acted as a resistance. When it was broken, this is when it became a support, and then a few months later came down here, got retested once again, and the price, or the stock, hasn't seen this price until today. This level is valued at 7 cents, and you can see today it did close a little bit below it. So this is now technically a resistance level. I'm going to leave that a skinny red though, because I think with any sort of upwards push, I don't think that's going to put up too much of a fight. But if we zoom out a little bit more, we can see another key area of the chart, and this area is based on these highs over here. You can see that quite a while ago there was a bunch of highs that came right around this area, and then those highs were essentially the low of this pullback here, although not quite. It was pretty close to there, and you can see that the price did bounce off this level today. So once again, I'm going to zoom back up, and you won't be able to see where this green line's coming from. So keep in mind it's coming from being a resistance a bunch of times over here, and then when it did get above, you can see this pullback here acted as a support before blasting off, and this is actually right where the price did find support today. So keep that in mind as I zoom back in and talk about this level. So here this level is, and remember this is just simply that other area of support that's turn resistance. But for the people out there that are playing this from a daily chart perspective, this is the level right here, essentially right where it closed at today, a little bit less, where you want to see it hold. If you get a few wicks that drop down here, that's fine, but you really don't want to see much separation from this level, because like I just shown on the scrunched up view, this is a very important level, and there's not too many supports below it without having to travel another big distance. So for the daily chart people and people that are playing this fundamentally, and for the overall chart, this is a very key level that you want to see hold. And on that same note, if you're a bottom fisher or maybe a chart player, this is a very nice risk versus reward setup, meaning you could accumulate some shares right in this area, set a tight stop loss. So let's say you just got shares right here at this support, decided, I'm going to set a stop loss down here. This box would represent the risk that you're taking. And let's say you get some shares here, and it decides to make a decent bounce up and comes up here to 12 cents, which is somewhat of a resistance level. Well, now if we draw another box that represents this move here, this would be the potential reward. And keep in mind the reward isn't infinite. It could keep on going up, so you could have a box that looks even this big. But let's just play it kind of reasonable and say that it goes up here. Well, you can easily see that your risk, which is this small box, compared to the potential reward, is very significant. Or is very insignificant, I should say. You could fit a bunch of these small boxes into this big one, which just shows that technically you could, probably 4 out of 5 you could lose on these. But if you do get one big one that does bounce for you, you're going to come out ahead and green. So it is a nice little opportunity. I will have this one, on my watch list, and might accumulate some shares here with a tight stop loss. And if it goes against me, then so be it, small loss. But if it does decide to bounce here, it could be a very nice gainer. The key thing to watch for is going to be volume. With any sort of sideways or slightly downwards action, we want to see volume pretty much jump off a cliff. The lower the better. On any sort of sideways or downwards day, there won't be any such thing as too low of a volume day. Now, if it does decide to start to head back up, that's where volume, the bigger the better. But we really need to see volume start to drop off here, which will represent whatever the cause of this is, whether it be fear or panic or maybe some bad news. We need to see whatever the cause of this easing up, and that'll be represented by a drop off in volume. So volume will be key the rest of this week, and making sure that it doesn't remain heavy like this. If you get another heavy day with a big old candlestick, then that obviously is going to show that there's still plenty of fear and worry going on. But if volume starts to shrink up, then you can kind of start to breathe more of a sigh of relief that hopefully this is the bottom now and it can work on repairing itself and heading back up. So if there are any other questions on the chart, please let me know. If not, I'd encourage you to check out bullwarriorstocks.com. If you go there and sign up for the free newsletter, you'll be sent a free ebook, and with your newsletter subscription, you'll get chart setups, trade ideas, educational pieces, all sorts of things from big boards on to penny stocks. So there's a good variety, something for everybody. It is all free, so I'd encourage you to head to the website, sign up, and see what it's all about. One more time, this was WOLV. Thanks for listening.